What's up, everybody? We got a spicy one today. Continuing our look at recent entertainment. Quite a few movies and shows have come out in the last few months that have tried to put more female heroes into action films. And while there have been many properties like Wonder Woman, The Hunger Games, Aliens, and others that have done this with great success, these haven't. And there's been a lot of discussion about exactly why they've struggled so much. And I do think people have nailed down a few important parts of it, but I don't think they've nailed down everything. There's a major aspect to these new movies and shows which makes them much less effective than the ones that came before them. And that's what I want to talk about today. Now, we know already that the quality of storytelling in a movie or show matters. And there have been some major errors in the normal writing here, which people have talked about in a basic sense, and I've been covering in other videos. The negativity in these movies is definitely a problem as well. And we know also that The Hunger Games, Wonder Woman, and a lot of these successful properties had built-in audiences. But we've also seen action movies starring women that took off without a built-in audience. And we've seen properties with a built-in audience that didn't do well. So that alone doesn't answer the question. I found that there's parts of the fundamental execution of these types of stories that movies like Wonder Woman do properly, and these others get wrong. It's a subtle mistake, but it's a real mistake. And here's what I think it is. There are two life goals that we as people naturally pursue: to have children and to survive. And while they do go hand in hand at times, since you need to survive to have children, the requirements for each of them are different. And we have a separate set of emotions that's attached to each. Action movies appeal to our survival instincts, our need to find resources and defend ourselves from threats, and the emotions that are triggered by doing those things, seeing others do them, and wanting to be around people that can help us to do those things. This is something that most men are instinctively drawn towards and interested in. And in fact, the ability to teach each other or help each other survive is pretty much the only interest straight men have in each other. And action movies feature exactly that. Heroes setting out to find some special thing or person, having the nerve to take risks, and showing their skills, willingness to help others, and ability to fight along the way. But we also have a different type of movie. Relationship movies that appeal to our reproductive needs. The set of desires and good feelings we attach to finding the best mate we can and having healthy children. These situations work differently than surviving. The people we seek out and want to be around are the most fertile people we can find. This includes age, fitness, looks, how caring they are, how much they're interested in us, and so on. And in this world, a person's value and what they get from it work differently as well. Because when it comes to relationships, we don't get a trial run at having children. Unlike survival situations, which depend much more on traits you can see in action, having a child takes years and a huge commitment. So we have to base our judgment of potential mates on much more subjective things, such as their physical appearance, their apparent age, and so on. And anyone who ranks highly in those categories gets treated as valuable and offered gifts and potential romantic partners. And stories about these are usually about this process going wrong.
Your true love lives, and you marry another.
But here is where we have a problem. Because normally, relationship movies star women and are aimed at women. And action movies star men and are aimed at men. But it doesn't have to be that way. And that's where these movies went wrong. They're action movies that happen to have women as the star, and as far as I can tell, they tried to use things that are normal in relationship movies. They cast a young, good-looking, fertile woman, and they have that young woman simply be given her power, right? The lightsaber just flies into Rey's hand. Danny just is the chosen one in Dark Fate. Kate Kane just finds Bruce Wayne's equipment. In a relationship movie, that's the way it would work. The youngest, prettiest, kindest person is just given their status.
One has come of age. Thera. She is the reason your powers wane.
But in an action movie, that's not the way it works. These are survival situations, and the things that make someone useful for survival have nothing to do with how good-looking or fertile they are. Survival is about toughness, strength, resourcefulness, and our willingness and ability to defend ourselves and others. These are the traits that successful action heroes have, whether they're male or female. Let's look at Wonder Woman. She's physically strong and athletic. She looks like she can fight. She's resourceful. She has her own weapons and tools. She sees a wrong, the war, and she enters it herself, and she makes the difference. All of these things are what actually makes someone useful in a survival situation. And those are what make us want to pay attention to her, and feel the same interest in her that we feel in any good action star. Along the same lines, my favorite scene in the Wonder Woman trailer was when she runs into the room and fights the team of soldiers in hand-to-hand combat. The way she fights, the speed at which she moves, the fact that she's clearing an area that the normal soldiers wouldn't be able to without taking heavy losses, the way they hit her with that gun and it breaks over her midsection, showing how tough she is. I get hyped up every time I see it. And based on the response, it got everyone else hyped up too. And it's got nothing to do with her looks or who she's dating. It plays on a completely different set of feelings that we all have. And when you have that, the relationship part is just extra. Wonder Woman has a love interest, but to be honest, I don't even remember that part of the movie. The movie works already as an action story. And likewise, when you do these things right, it has a tremendous amount of power. I don't think people should mix politics and entertainment, but if you insist, a lot of the political goals that people seem to want to achieve, you can do by executing these things well, and showing how irrelevant the other biases we have actually are. People, for example, made a big deal about Batwoman dating other women in the show, but Wonder Woman was doing that in the 50s, and nobody cared, because they enjoyed her as a properly done hero. And likewise, there are even a couple moments in the Wonder Woman movie where they, for one reason or another, put in some politically motivated dialogue that didn't need to be there.
Where I'm from, that's called slavery. What I do is not up to you.
But if you show it, if you do it properly, all those other things just melt away. Look at Katniss from the Hunger Games. Look at Ripley from Aliens. They barely even wear makeup. That's the power of doing things the right way. So, in an overall sense, you might say these recent movies that are struggling at the box office, besides their other problems, are trying to serve hamburgers at a vegan restaurant. The people who would want that aren't going to show up, and the people who do are getting the wrong thing. And that, quite simply, is a recipe for disaster. We can have a world where action movies star people of every type, and people of every type watch them and love them, if we understand what's actually going on. If you liked this video, please share it with others. And like always, thanks for your time.